Welcome back to another video. I'm Dr. Jason, and today I'm going to show you 3 exercises to get rid of hip pain. As a chiropractor for nearly 20 years, the amount of people I see with hip pain is staggering. It is crazy. And people have pain either here, in their hip, in their buttocks, in the front, or even in their low back close to their hip. And this whole area bothers so many people. A lot of people have hip pain, and a lot of times it can come from the lower back. Here's the lumbar spine of a gal who is hyperextended, and there's a loss of a normal curve in the lower back. And so what happens is the force goes down into the hips, and just instead of bending forward like that, it just strains. And so this person has a lot of hip pain, even though the problem is in their lower back. So I'm going to give you 3 exercises to get rid of your hip pain, and these are my top 3 exercises. So follow me so we can go learn those now. Hip pain affects more people than you could imagine, and once it gets started, it's debilitating. It can be really hard to get rid of, and when you're sitting down, you can be in pain. You can hurt and find yourself shifting from side to side. A lot of times you just can't find a comfortable position. And then even when you're standing, if you're standing in retail or you're standing at a desk all day, basically everything you do hurts, from sitting, standing, and even lying down in bed. Sometimes people have a pulsing pain. Hip pain can really put a damper on life, because when you're always hurting, it's hard to do even the most basic things, from taking out the trash to going to work to even driving on a Sunday with your family. But the good news is there's a lot that can be done. And when people come into my clinic here in Miami called Rejuve, of course, I'm a chiropractor and we do chiropractic care, but we also do a lot of physiotherapy and physical therapy. And I'm going to give you the same exercises that I use to help people get out of hip pain. And you can use these yourself, and they're very simple, and you can use them with minimal or no equipment to get out of pain and get back to living your normal life. These exercises are especially important if you run or if you do high intensity interval training. And while you're watching, because I'm about to show you the exercises, make sure you smash that like button so that more people can see this video and get out of pain, so that we can help more people. And make sure you subscribe so I can continue to bring you content right in front of you to your screen to help you get out of pain and live your best life now. So here we go, let's get right into it. The first exercise is a single leg hip lunge. And you can do this with a bench, but I'm gonna show you the progressions. And the first progression is gonna be where there's a high slant and you lift up the weight bench like this. What you're gonna do is put your foot on here in the middle, and you're gonna put your knee in the middle of the bench. I'm gonna get into a lunge position, and I can put my hands on my hips like this, and I'm gonna go down into a little bit of a lunge, and I'm gonna push back up, and I'm gonna go all the way up onto my toes, using my knee to push into the bench and strengthen all of these muscles here as I push up out of the bench. As you can see, when I'm pushing into the bench with my right knee, all of these muscles here, my IT band, TFL, my glute medius, and even the glute max are activating because I'm driving my knee into the bench. And even though I can feel the weight and the pressure of the squat or the lunge in my back leg, all of the work is being done by pushing my knee into the bench, going up and down, and really making my knee in the bench the pivot point at which I'm pivoting on this exercise. So I feel this exercise all through here. And again, I do feel it on my back leg, but the focus is here. One thing you want to be sure of is that your knee is right in the middle of the bench and it's glued to the bench. So if I'm going up and down and my knee is moving, I'm not doing the exercise right. The knee has to be in the middle, pushing into the bench. And as I go down, I'm only going to go down so far as my knee can push in, and I'm going to come up as high as I can, and my knee never moves. It stays in the same place, pushing into the bench. And if you can do 3 sets of 10 reps on either side, you're already doing really well. And you can work your way up slowly beyond that. But even to start, if you do 3 sets of even 2 to 5 reps, that's a great start, because these muscles are really weak when you start out. As you get stronger, the progression is to actually lower the bench until we're flat. And then I'm going to show you the version on the floor. So now this is going to be harder for me. I'm going to have to take a bigger stance. I'm going to go down, and it's going to require more effort on my lateral thigh muscles here, my hip muscles, piriformis, glute medius, IT band. And I have less help from the bench. So as we progress with this exercise, we're gonna wanna go flat with the bench, and this gets a lot harder, and then the next step is on the floor. And here I'm going down, and most of the work now is on my front hip rather than on the back leg doing the squatting. And the same thing, if you can get a couple of reps at first, that's great. Work your way up to 5, even 10 reps. And if you're doing 3 sets of 10 reps on this, you're doing really well. You can feel the burn in your hips, and you know you're working that area, and it's an area that doesn't get worked with almost any other exercise. So for the final progression, we're gonna get onto the floor, and this is much harder, but pretty close in toughness to doing it on the bench. Doing it on the bench allows you to go a little bit lower, but this puts a lot more strain on your hip, and it's a good strain because we want to be able to move our hips through a range of motion that they're under stress and strengthening at the same time and lengthening. So I push up, let my back foot move up and down with my hip, but all of the movement is coming from my hip, and I'm using these muscles to posture up and then drop back down. You might not be able to do as many reps here, but you're gonna get an excellent groin stretch. You're gonna get an excellent stretch in your adductors, and you're strengthening your hip big time. Whew. You can feel that, wow. That's such a good exercise. I can feel my hips burning in a good way. And if you have hip pain and you do this, you're gonna notice that you might have to adjust the way you do it. You might have to start with the bench really slanted, but right after doing it, you're gonna feel a relief right away. You're gonna feel more loose. It's counterintuitive. We have to strengthen the area so it holds your body into alignment. This next one is called a seated pike raise. And this strengthens the deep hip flexors that are often not worked at all. People typically work the upper abdominals when they're doing sit-ups or crunches, and they work their legs when they're doing squats. But for your hips, and for that deep lower back strengthening for hip pain, this is one of the best exercises I've found. So I'm gonna show you how to do the seated pike raise to get rid of your hip pain, and then I'm gonna show you the regression. So the first thing is you wanna be sitting with your legs out in front of you. You're gonna plant your hands down, and you're gonna pull your hips back. You want to be over your torso so that your feet are right in front of you and you're not leaning back like that as much as possible. And for certain people, when you have a lot of back pain, if your spine looks like the x-ray I showed you, it's gonna be really hard to sit upright. So you just do your best to get better little by little. The next thing I'm gonna do is reach in front of me as far as I can. And even though I can go farther, I don't wanna round my spine too much. I wanna round minimally, posture up, chest up. I'm gonna hold the ground, point my toes, and we're gonna lift our legs like this. And we're gonna do reps like this, and the goal is gonna be to get to 20 reps. But initially, if you can even get 1 or 2, you're already doing well. Woo. Okay, now I'm gonna show you the regressions. So the first regression is if that's too tough, you're gonna start in the same position, you're gonna pull your hips back, and you're gonna go 1 leg at a time. Grab the ground, hold the ground with your fingers, 1 leg at a time. And let's say I'm doing this and I can do 10 reps and I go, great, that was tough, and I feel that. And initially when you do it, you're gonna feel it in your quads. And the reason you're gonna feel it in your quads is because your deep hip flexors that are gonna help you get out of pain when they're strengthened are weak. So now I'm gonna go to my left side, point my toes, posture up, hold the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, now, if it's too hard, you're gonna do 1 at a time, but sometimes even that's gonna be too much. You might find yourself back here and you just can barely lift your legs. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna find something that you can sit on, and it could be a stair, it could be a block, it could be just about anything, a cushion from your sofa. And when you elevate your hips, all of a sudden you're gonna find, hey, I can sit up straight, I can hold on to the bench, I feel much easier, I can sit over my hips, I'm not leaning back so far. So you put yourself at a mechanical advantage, and now, here, I'm actually gonna scoot back a little farther, so I have more of a base. I'm gonna hold, and I'm gonna lift up. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now again, if that's too much, I'm gonna hold, point the toes, posture up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if you're doing it correctly, even though your quads might burn, you're gonna start feeling it deep inside your abdomen. And if you watched any of my other videos where I do psoas work or lower back work, you're gonna see that a lot of the people that come to me are getting work done on those deep hip flexors because they're really weak. And as a result of being really weak, they're over tightening because they're trying to do a job they can't do. So if you watch these videos, you're gonna see countless people getting their hip flexors worked on, and I'm gonna help you to avoid that by strengthening your hip flexors before you ever come to see me. So now we go to the other side. Left leg, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Once you are able to do the 1 at a time, again, you progress to 2 at the same time. And then little by little, you just lower this into the point you're sitting on like a stair or a sidewalk. And before you know it, you're gonna be able to sit on the ground. And we're gonna go to the next step in the same exercise, and you're gonna do the straddle version. So now, we're here. We're gonna straddle our legs. We're going to reach forward in front of us, hold the floor. This is also a really good stretch to do while you're here, sometimes in between reps. I'm gonna hold the floor. I'm gonna posture up as much as I can. I'm gonna point my toes. This is much easier if you take your shoes off because your shoes are like a dead weight. And then what's gonna happen is I'm gonna really have to contract my core to engage my core before I lift my legs. And you're gonna see that basically the more you have to lean back means actually the weaker your hip flexors are, and you're changing the angle of the lever arm, and you're making it easier for yourself. So if you start with your hands here, and this is how you have to start, it's not great, but it's way better than not being able to do it at all. And it's okay to start like that. You can also put your back up to a wall, and that'll prevent you from leaning back and give you a lot of stability. But in the meantime, we're gonna posture up, hold the floor, point our toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, if that's too much, put one hand on either side of your leg, point your toes, and we're gonna lift. And sometimes you might just have to throw your leg up there and your knee bends and kind of buckles a little bit, and that's okay. That means you're working through it. But little by little, we're gonna work. And once we do 10 on that side, we're gonna switch sides here, point our toes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And little by little, what we're gonna find is that we're able to do more and more and more, and you're gonna get stronger. So the third exercise to get rid of hip pain is called the reverse Nordic. And this is an exercise that you're gonna do on the floor, preferably with the mat, but you can even do it without a mat. Hopefully some kind of little pad between your knees and the floor. This is primarily gonna work your quads, but what a lot of people don't know is that you're also strengthening your core when the exercise is done right. And you're strengthening your hip muscles because your quads are hip muscles, your psoases are hip muscles, and this is gonna strengthen everything around your hips, from your glutes, your quads, your psoases, your IT band, your piriformis, everything. So we're gonna start out on our knees, and you're gonna have your toes down to the floor like mine are, and we're gonna keep your body really straight. And you're gonna bend backwards very slowly, little by little, and then you're gonna come back up. And what we wanna do is we wanna go back ideally as far as we can without bending the hips. So what you don't wanna do is go back here like this. That's not a reverse Nordic. But we ideally wanna go as far as we can, keeping our body straight, all the way down, and then we wanna come back up. Now we're gonna work little by little, because what's gonna happen is when you first do this, you're gonna go, okay, that's my limit, and that's okay. These are reps. And again, you don't have to put your body like this, but I really like to, because I want you in alignment from the side. I want you totally stacked. Head over your shoulders, shoulders over your hips, hips over your knees, in perfect alignment. And we're gonna aim to go for 3 sets of 10. And the idea, when you go all the way back and come all the way up without buckling, is you're strengthening your hip muscles. And this is one of the few exercises that you will feel so strongly for about 1 or 2 days after doing it. And this will totally help you to get rid of your hip pain. So we're gonna rep it out, and even if you're doing small reps, even if you're just right here, just like this, I want you to do 3 sets of 10 reps, no matter how small, even if you're right here. 3 sets of 10 reps. And sometimes it feels like the muscle is going to tear off of the bone. So this is one exercise you don't need any equipment for. You know, if you had to, you could even put like a thin little t-shirt rolled up or a towel, like a hand towel between your knees and the floor, and just work these out, because these 3 exercises done together are going to help you get rid of your hip pain. And hopefully you won't have to come see me, but if you do, I'm going to ask you about these 3 exercises. These are my 3 go-to exercises for the hip and for hip pain, which, as you now know, oftentimes stems from the lower back and the lumbar spine being out of alignment, transferring pressure to the hips that it shouldn't have. So if you do these 3 exercises, the chances are you're going to get out of hip pain. Hopefully you won't need to see me, and you're going to be stronger than you ever were before. Make sure you like the video so that other people can see this and we can help other people get out of pain, because if you've been in pain, you know how much it sucks. It's horrible. And make sure you subscribe so I can get videos right to your screen that will help you to get out of pain and avoid problems. And if there's something you want to see that's very specific, make sure you leave it in the comments so that I can make a video just for you. I'm Dr. Jason. If you're ever in Miami, look me up. This is Rejuve Wellness, and I'll be here waiting for you to show you what we do at Rejuve and how we get your spine and your mind aligned.